too. So welcome everybody, and thanks for coming and participating in this activity. Uh, Several years ago, I put in the wrong information in our family tree and added what I thought was our biological grandfather, and Sheila happened to be related to that guy, and she looked at it and she goes, "This doesn't look right." After DNA research had come out, she messaged me and said, "Hey, where do you get your information on this guy?" And I said, "Well, my dad told me that," and my dad had heard from Grandpa. Jack that this was the guy. And so we had the wrong guy in there for several years, but there was a purpose to it all. And he connected us to Sheila, who was able to. She messaged me and said, "Hey, you know, if you'd like, I could do some DNA research, and I'd be happy to find that and see if I could figure anything out." And I said, "Please, that'd be awesome." And I was in a family history class, and I thought this could be my one great moment of doing something for our family tree, and so we let Sheila do that. And she told me she narrowed it down to two guys, and Mr. Newby Senior and Mr. Newby Junior, and I assumed that Senior was a little bit too old, and she may be able to say that Newby Jr. is probably more likely as well, or not. I'm not sure, but that's who we narrowed it down to, and so we might have Newby blood in us, according to DNA research, and so today we've asked Sheila, and we thank you for coming, Sheila, to just kind of walk us through some basic steps and showing us how she was able to do that, and essentially how DNA research is done nowadays. And so uh, Sheila, we'll give you the floor, and thanks for being here.
Okay, can you share, so I can share my desktop?
Yep, you're good now.
Okay. Okay, share screen. Okay, do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so Karen also did her DNA, which I was really excited about, because the closer you get to that generation you're researching, the easier it is, the narrower down, it gets. So what I started with was looking at Karen's matches and kind of eliminating what we knew and who we didn't know. So I viewed her matches. And if you scroll down, you'll recognize people's names. Then here's a Deems Newby that is not a recognizable name, that's not in the Wood family tree. And he came later. So the person I found first was Karen, and she had an unlinked tree. And I looked at her unlinked tree, and she only had 3 people. So from there, I had to build out her tree. So I just followed the paper trail. And let me see if I can. Okay. So I was able to build out her tree, and I got back to further Newby line. And so then I looked at other family members that Karen and Karen were both related to. So I clicked on their shared matches. So Karen and Karen shared matches. And there's some more newbies. So I look on Deems Newbie. And he also has Charles James Newby and Augusta. And there are a couple more. Eric Bell. Is that going to come up? Eric Bell, he doesn't have share as many centimorgans, and centimorgans is just, it tells you how closely related you are to someone through the DNA. And yeah, that's not being very helpful.
I'll be right back.
Here's another, a Colin Newby. Let's see, where's Eric? There's Eric. Okay, so he's only 121 centimorgans, and I'll show you a list of what everybody else is related as well. But his tree goes back to a Ralph Foster Newby, and that is a brother to Charles Newby. And then their father's name is also Ralph Foster Newby. So there's several people that are showing up right away on the Newby line. They're all related to Charles Newby. And let me bring out. Okay, so this is a list of the centimorgans that each match is related and how they're related. So the most closely related person is 623 centimorgans, and then Karen's 580, Cheryl Willie's 250, and you see they all go back to Charles James Newby. And then Eric, he's further out, so he goes back a further one more generation, and Courtney Nelson as well. So like I can show, we'll do 623. Let's see if I can. So this is DNA Painter. It helps us figure out how closely we are related to somebody per the centimorgans. So 623 for Deems. So what's highlighted gives you the possibilities. And we know that it would be a half relative. So it would be on this side. And we look to see which one is the closer. There's a range for each one. So it could be possibilities on this. And sometimes you have to look at, when people were born and how the generations match up and things like that to show if it makes sense. And it does make sense. Half first cousin is where he matches the best. So that's what I use to determine who Marjorie's father was. So are there any questions? . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . .
Hmm.
I think
Keep going.
because of our, I think because of our lack of terminology, and I think, it's all fairly new. I mean, you kind of explained something of these things to me last time, so it's more familiar with for me. But it makes sense. You essentially finding how many centimorgan molecules in the DNA match up, and so many match up, and somebody's created a picture that shows if it's this many centimorgans, that could be like a cousin, and if
Right.
it's this many, it could be a grandfather. And so you kind of used the process of elimination and said this looks like a cousin to,
Yeah.
you said, to
Yeah.
Karen, right?
If you look here, Ryan, her son, the most you can match is 3,500. And so that's pretty much half. So, and then sister is not as much, but still a lot. And so these lists go down for the closest centimorgans, the closest relation to the furthest relation. So it goes to the uncles, to the cousins, and it has an estimate, and you kind of have to figure out on the paper trail as well, if possible, how you're related to someone. And you just find who is not in your family tree and how are those people related to each other, because how they are related to each other is how you're related to them as well. And they're all related through Charles James Newby.
And so my question is, initially, when we first connected, I don't know, it was 3 years ago, you said, well, I narrowed it down to two people, Charles James Newby and his father. Have we narrowed it down to Charles?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
It's pretty clear.
yeah,
Cool. Okay.
yep. And the more matches, the more people do their DNA, and the more we have more people to throw in the group and analyze, the better we know for sure. But yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So my question is for Linda and Dad. How do you feel to be a newbie?
I don't know how to feel.
Well, we had one brother, I guess one of their brothers, that said that he's a dork, and that he doesn't care about Charles Newby, and I can understand, how, if some guy was kind of, who knows, who knows how it played out, but some people are gonna think it's dumb. They don't care that Khan, our adopted grandfather, was good to us and did the right thing, and he raised this family, and so we owe our family, the research we're willing to do to his family. Some people like myself, I'm not shaken by the truth, and I'm happy to know that I have a different biological grandfather, and I'm excited to do the work for his family as well.
Now, do his descendants still live in Idaho Falls?
No, they do not live in Idaho at all. Most of them are in California, mostly the San Francisco Bay Area.
Uh-huh.
I've tracked as many descendants as possible, and I sent stuff in the spreadsheet of all the descendants and where their last known location was. And I think there's one in like Illinois or something, and a couple in Oregon, but most of them are in California, which was kind of surprising to me, but yeah.
By the looks of his headstone, it looks like the funeral home donated the headstone for Charles Newby, and probably didn't. I don't know. I mean, it's just this little teeny funeral home plaque, and it doesn't look like they had a huge. I mean, you can consider, that you can think anything with that, but maybe they were gone by then, and they just said, well, let's just have them buried, and then we're done. But
So do we know anything more about his family or anything? Or about him?
the one thing they said that Sheila had said that he worked at a store here locally in town, right? Wasn't it
He,
something like that?
I can't, in one of the census records, I don't know if it's, I can't remember exactly what it said, but yeah, we were trying to figure out how they would have known each other.
I was wondering if Agnes is her name, right? If she worked for him or something. Because didn't we say that it was that Marjorie's mother would have had to have been like 21, and he would have been like, I don't know if it was like 40 or something.
I put it here. Charles would have been 48 at the time and Marjorie's birth, and Agnes almost 23. Yeah.
Yep. So that was a pretty big spread.
Yeah.
50-year-old and a 23-year-old.
Yeah. Here's a list of all of his kids.
How
So
many?
he had a good
how
group.
many, oh wow, he had a big family.
Yeah. And Marjorie would have come in between Mary and James. Mary was about a month old at the time of conception. And then soon after Marjorie was born, then his wife became pregnant with James as well.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing how they knew each other. I'd be interested in knowing what store apparently he worked at or owned
Yeah.
or something. But have to do some research.
Let's see.
So this news would probably not be real welcome to the Newby family, would it?
Yeah, I don't know. So
Depends on how it is.
I had the same situation happen in my husband's family, and they welcomed us with open arms, but you don't know.
Yeah.
And they had no idea.
Yeah.
So he was a clerk in a grocer in 1920.
So he didn't own it. He would just work
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And I can't find the 1930 census, which would be more beneficial since it's more closely in time to Marjorie's birth.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, and that's it. It's pretty well how we found out. And I found it interesting personally.
That very is interesting. So we had thought that it was someone that lived in Pocatello before that was
Yeah.
Mark.
I wouldn't have
Grandma.
been surprised if it was him, and I'm kind of bummed it's not because you guys are awesome, but the DNA does
You're
not
related
show.
to, wasn't that John Colin you said?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're related to him.
Yeah, he is my husband's great-grandfather.
Okay.
Well, thank you for doing all this research.
Yeah, I had to solve the mystery. I wasn't just gonna throw you guys out and say nope.
You could have adopted us as family. I mean, we technically adopted you into this family tree. So
Okay, we'll do adoption.
perfect. Well, great. Well, I think that's pretty well it then. Unless anybody has any other questions, that's the brief rundown. And I mean, that's all I really kind of wanted to share. And I thought it was exciting, and for people interested, there we go. So
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
yeah, we do appreciate it, Sheila, and we'll send gift cards here shortly. She, she says that she never accepts any kind of payment. She doesn't like that. So
Oh,
I'm going to try to figure out some kind of thing to see if we can thank her for what she's done for us.
you're doing my parents' funeral, so we'll catch up then.
Sounds
Like
good.
5-10 years.
Yeah, well, perfect. All righty. Well, we'll let everybody go and spend the rest of their evening and thanks for joining us tonight.
All right, see you.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Stefan.
Yeah, here comes Amy. Maybe we'll see what she wants to say. We should make up something and act like Amy and trick Amy. Well, I'm going to pause this.